Has anyone ever said to you, you're too successful, there's no way that you have ADHD? If you raised your hand, then this video is for you. Today we're talking about ADHD masking, what it is, why do we do it, and why it's so common for those of us in the ADHD community. I'm also going to be breaking down what masking looks like in my life. It's going to look really different from each person because each ADHD brain is very unique. The cost of masking for way too long, or possibly your whole life, and how to start unmasking, or specifically how to support someone that has ADHD and they're currently in treatment, or you're just trying to be a supportive friend or spouse. If you're new here, my name is Heidi. I am 38 years old and I was diagnosed with mild ADHD combined type 3 years ago, as well as general anxiety disorder. On this channel, I talk about all things ADHD, in particular, what it's like to parent two school-age kids and juggling 3 different flavors of ADHD in my household. So if that's your jam and you want to nestle in, hit that subscribe button and give me a like. And even better, put in a comment, because my little channel, it grows and the algorithm loves me when other people are like, hey, I like your stuff, so I'll keep doing it and I'm here for you. So why is this topic relevant? Why are we talking about it tonight? It's because if you have ADHD, you likely mask. And I just want to build a community where we can lean on each other and just say, I see you, and how hard I was making my life because I was masking for so long. But before I spin my wheels and I get over there, I just want to back up to say that I am not a medical professional, so this is truly just my anecdotes, but I have to put that little disclaimer out there. My ADHD diagnosis came after I was kind of hitting a low point with my self-esteem. I have talked a lot about that through my video where I talk about should I get diagnosed, so I will leave it somewhere up here in order for you to check it out if that's something you're interested in. I found videos on TikTok of women that were talking about their own experiences and sharing symptoms that they had, and that's when I stumbled across the term of masking. So I didn't know what it was, but I knew that I needed help. So after 6 months of counseling, I was officially diagnosed, and it was like I finally had glasses. I could finally understand that my whole life I have been hiding how hard life has been, because a lot of people were really shocked when they said, what do you mean you have ADHD? Like, you're so put together. You're the most organized person I know. But I can assure you I wasn't in many places in my life. Just so you get kind of the flavor of my ADHD with combined type, some of my fan favorites of things that I struggle with are forgetting why I came into a room, why I ran up the stairs to grab something, forgetting my train of thought a lot. I really depend on notes in order to have a strong conversation in a meeting, as well as time blindness is a really big one. I say something will take 5 minutes when it really is about 15 to 20 minutes. It's usually the triple rule. It usually takes triple the amount of time than I think it's supposed to. Also, not being able to keep eye contact with people and getting very overwhelmed by too much noise. I would never be able to work in a cubicle, like ever. I have to plug my ears when making a phone call, and I have to talk to someone in like a reception area. So those are things that I kind of struggle with, as well as interrupting others. I don't mean to, but I'm thinking ahead and anticipating what you're going to say. So all those things, they seem like, completely harmless. You don't have to have ADHD and like do those things. Like they're not, one doesn't equal the other. And it certainly doesn't scream ADHD when you know my resume. I was that girl. That girl was kind of like the Hermione Granger of the group. I was the one that had the straight A's. I worked really hard and got into a selective university. I helped lead a women's a cappella group in college. I juggled 3 jobs on campus. I did a lot of things, all right? So moving forward, fast forward into my professional career, I didn't have a hard time keeping a job. I was responsible. I had good performance reviews. I was that person that usually left the office as one of the latest ones, even though I was an entry-level worker. Heidi went above and beyond, was like common comment, and I thrived on those types of comments, and that's another video about people pleasing and, the toxicity of that. But anyway, you get the picture. I looked good. Like, I looked great on the outside. I looked like that person that's like, she's going places. And even after I resigned from the workforce and I became a stay-at-home mom about 10 years ago, I still managed to find things that I was like, yeah, I'm going to be apparently the president of this awesome club of women that are in the area, and we do service work and we get our kids together for play dates. And then also getting involved at my kids' school, I also said yes to being the president of the PTO for that. And I just don't have an off switch, which is another one of my red flags. But all of this combined really confuses people when they're like, you have ADHD for real? And here's how we do it. So what no one saw was really what it took to maintain that type of image and that type of ability to be on and organized and looking great on paper, because there was a cost, y'all. And it was my sanity. The reality was that nothing came easily. I would look at peers in high school. I remember going back on high school assignments, and for whatever reason in my head, I was like, I need to be in that top 10. There were 365 kids in my class, and I was like, I'm going to be in that top 10. And trying to keep up with that amazing group of students who, SAT scores were through the roof. They were going places. These were the kids. They're going to the most selective universities, and awesome for them. And I really held them on a pedestal, and that's great as a goal. But I was like, these are kids that look like they naturally love learning, and it comes so naturally to them. And they are somehow juggling 3 sports in a year and all these activities, and they're taking AP classes. How are they doing that? How is that even possible? And so I would say to myself, it doesn't matter what it takes. I will study harder than any of them in order to keep up with them. And so that meant staying up and pulling all-nighters as early as 9th grade in order to pull off projects. And as long as it looked good on paper, it counted, and no one saw what it took to get to that point. It didn't take me long to realize that if I was going to be a top student, I would have to put in 3 times the amount of work in order to get the same results. And that's where masking really got me good. This is your personality, and this is the role that you're going to play. So what is masking? Masking is when someone with ADHD really tries to hide some of the things that are less desirable about their ADHD tics and trying to act in a more neurotypical way. So for me, what that looked like was really trying to control my impulses. So anytime that I would want to be tapping a pen on a table or humming or singing in class, doing things that are more disruptive, I would try to make myself smaller. I do this all the time, but rehearsing responses, the amount of conversations and arguments I have in my head before I'm going to talk to someone, it's a little bit of a problem. But basically copying people who don't have ADHD that you know of. So you're just shrinking your personality in order to try to fit in and to downplay some of the things that are hard for you so that you're not causing problems. You're not being called out by a teacher or a boss, and you're trying to hold it together. The big question is, to some people, you might think, well, masking is kind of a way that you are trying to train your cognitive channels to not fit in, but try to be more effective in all environments. And I could say, yes, but it also kind of can lead to your demise when you do it constantly and make those layers of masking so thick that you don't even know who the heck you are. You might be thinking to yourself, okay, well, these are all student examples. I'm an adult. Doesn't seem like I mask. You're wrong. You probably do. As a student, I would stay up as late as it was necessary in order to finish an assignment. That was the most common thing that I would do. So my friends wouldn't see what it took in order to keep up. I liked hiding that aspect and maybe keep up the image that, oh yeah, it was no big deal. Sure, I banged out another A+ essay in a really hard class. I didn't get sleep for the past week, but I did it. As a professional, here's something that it took counseling to realize why the heck I do this. I think that there were times that I had superiors that were like, wow, look at this wonderful email that Heidi's been sending, or the glowing reviews that I would get from working with school counselors. And it was because I would spend about 20 to 30 minutes on one single email to have it be written perfectly, and the amount of thought and dedication I would put into a message. In some emails, yes, you need to really make sure it's great. But when it's every email like that, and then the workload, it just became impossible. And it's also a toxic trait to reread my email 3 or 4 times. And we're talking basic email, no more important than a text message. I will still reread it 3 or 4 times before sending to make sure that it sounds correct and that I'm not coming off in an offensive way. Just trying to hide how much thought and overthinking would go into that. And another thing, if you consider yourself a people pleaser, you are masking. You are basically taking a group, whatever group you're in, and you're saying to yourself, okay, what role am I playing today? Let's spin the wheel. What type of Heidi do you need in this scenario? Is everyone awkwardly silent? Do I need to be that extroverted, funny person in this group? Okay, I'll fill that role. Do you need me to be the one that has the answers? I don't know the answer, but I will talk out of my butt until we find one. So people pleasing is a huge part of masking, because I'd be like, yeah, I can take that on, even though I absolutely can't. I'm petting my cat, by the way, if you're like, why is she moving so much? Here's a fun one. Over-explaining unnecessarily why I'm late, but also not maybe painting the whole picture. There was traffic, but I also sat on the end of my bed staring at my wall for about 15 minutes before realizing I need to go get my shoes on in order to not be late for this appointment. Practicing conversations before I'm going to have them. And not important conversations, small talk, this is how I need to interact. These are the people I might see. How do I anticipate how our conversation's gonna go? And also just staying silent, completely silent in a meeting at the risk of going off on a tangent that embarrasses me. So the problem is, after years of doing that and being in a rat race and trying to keep up with the Joneses or your peers or your friends or your colleagues, the cracks definitely start to show. So the burnout was there. And what's really sad, and why I also want to build this community on masking, is that I know that the people that really paid the price were the people that I love the most. That they were my husband when I would come home from work and just be shredded, being like, I was on all day, I was trying to hold it together, and I have nothing left in my tank. And also being a mom now and having 2 school-age kids, it wasn't fair that when I was trying to keep up with so much volunteering work, I was doing great work, but I felt like I gave them the worst parts of me at the end of the day because I just didn't have an off switch. Your family shouldn't be the punching bag of your overcommitments and ways that you try to look great on paper and to the outside world. It should be flipped. And that's why it's so important to peel back those layers and find ways to make sure that you're not masking for so long that you forget who really matters and the type of person that you really want to be. I think it was Brene Brown, and I refer to this quote often from, I think it was Atlas of the Heart. There's some passage where she's like, I wish that I learned early in life that it's more important to belong than it is to fit in. And I'm like, Brene, yes, you're right. You're right. And so that's why I really wanted to make this video, to say that you do belong. You belong just the way you are. You don't need to make yourself smaller. More is more. And there are ways, though, that we can find strategies that isn't masking, and you can get the help that you need. The risks of masking for too long is that it led to some pretty intense general anxiety and social anxiety. Many times ADHD has a friend that likes hanging out with either depression or anxiety, and in my case, I have a lot of anxiety. And I think what happens is you're worried about your ADHD traits, So the anxiety builds, trying to hold it together. And so the anxiety really ramped up for me. And it got to the point where I had such low self-esteem when things would go wrong, if something fell through the cracks and I dropped the ball on something. And it didn't have to be much, but I would just beat myself up over it. I think the big kicker, though, was growing up, because I always was like, I'm not smart. I just work really hard. Like, I wouldn't give myself the credit of saying, Heidi, you are smart. Had I known that I had ADHD, it might have made me better with self-esteem as a teenager to say, okay, stop beating yourself up. There's a reason this is hard. We can figure this out, but it's going to take you longer than your peers. It really messes with your self-esteem, which can then go really deep into more depression. So that's when I was like, okay, we need to fix this. And there are better things I could be doing. And I'm tired of trying to keep this personality up. So let's find out who Heidi actually is. The great news is that you really can always improve, and I'm proof of that. I can confidently say now that I am happier, I have more energy, and I give myself a lot more grace now that I've been diagnosed. So if you're just starting out and you're starting to question some of your symptoms, I say get curious. So instead of being down on yourself, say, all right, I'm just going to write it down, and I'm just going to keep writing down different symptoms that I have. I loved keeping a journal to say, what is this? Like, is this normal? Is this, let's just keep track of it. So stay curious. I would say that if you are in a professional setting or in school, really think to yourself, what has been coming up in my report cards or my performance reviews? Is there a pattern of something that I know is hard? Self-reflection is rough. Like, we are our worst critics, I think. But if there's ways that you can take a look at yourself and say, what is something I want to work on? Am I habitually late by 10 minutes, like every day? Like, is there something I could change in my schedule that would change that and that change that image of myself? Is there an accommodation that I could ask for? So I was not diagnosed when I was working in a professional setting, but if you have that type of diagnosis, being able to work with your HR department to see what supports there could be, whether that's changing the location of your office or being able to work remotely if it helps with focus and noise cancellation. Man, if I had like noise canceling headphones, it would have changed things dramatically for me. But knowing that you absolutely have those rights with that diagnosis. If you're not diagnosed yet, though, again, stay curious. And I am pro counseling. Like, it is not always cheap. And I hate that in America, where I am, that it can be very expensive. Best money I spent, though. I was able to find a pretty affordable counseling group, and we had virtual sessions, so I didn't have to leave my house, which was really helpful when I had kids at home. I think that there's definitely ways that we can self-reflect and we can try to be better without hiding our personality. I also think that learning how to say no to things and trying to lighten your load, it's a way that we get really impulsive, and so trying to simplify some things in your life. Sometimes the only way through it is through it. And so I had to see out some of my terms for volunteering before things got easier for me. But just knowing that there was light at the end of the tunnel for letting go of some responsibilities, just so you can focus on yourself. Self-care is not selfish, people. It's just not. It's my favorite sticker that I have on my water bottle. And those are some important steps that you can take. For anyone that wants to get better at this, I also am a huge supporter of time blocking. Once I learned about time blindness and how I totally get wrong how long something's going to take to complete, this is kind of also an homage to all of those times that I pulled all-nighters in order to get projects done. I heard the words, do the best you can, and honestly, it's like one of the worst things that you could say to someone with ADHD, because do the best you can basically means great, I just won't sleep. That's easy. It's an easy choice. No, Heidi, do the best you can in 3 hours. And I'm like, okay, I got 3 hours. ADHDers, we love a good deadline. And so really blocking out your time is a great practice to do. And it kind of sets more realistic finish lines for you. If you interrupt, it's okay. It happens, but it is considered rude in a lot of different realms. So working on active listening, this is something I'm working on. Anyone that talks slowly or walks slowly causes me physical pain. And so trying to be an active listener. So the way you can do this is by meditating, and I'm not good at meditating, but I'm trying. So I do this by taking my phone, or if I'm working on an email. We don't like being interrupted, but if someone does interrupt us or they have a question, showing that you're actively listening by putting the phone down, shutting the laptop, and lean in, just say, I'm looking at them. I'm not zoning out. We're not zoning out, Heidi. We're not meditating while someone's talking to you. You're repeating back some of the things that they're saying, and you're practicing, I'm listening to you. Those are some points that we don't have to hide who we are. And we can also say, hey, I'm really working on this. I zoned out there for a minute. Can you say that last part one more time? And it really shows that you care. I thought of another one. Following multi-step instructions is something I really struggle with. Or if someone is giving me appointment information on a phone, calling a doctor, talk about practicing phone conversations before you have them. But if you're in a meeting, and in the world of AI right now, if you could get a notes app that allows you to record things with permission, get permission, but to be able to record that and have it summarize the points for you, like that's so amazing. So have AI work with you if there's ways that it can simplify note-taking so you can be a better listener. I also have really found that if you can make the time to get counseling, it was the key to unlocking and understanding my masking. There's this funny thing that happens, and my counselor did point this out. What came first, the chicken or the egg? Should we treat your ADHD? Should we treat anxiety? And so we ended up treating anxiety first. And she said, just be aware that sometimes when we treat the anxiety, your ADHD symptoms might ramp up because you no longer care so much about your ADHD showing. And I'm like, oh, that makes a lot of sense. So give it a try. And also on the flip side, if you struggle more with ADHD and focus, if you treat that, then you might also find that your anxiety decreases because those stressors aren't there anymore. Bonus. If you're watching this video and you love someone with ADHD, I just want to say, I see you. I see how much you would love to just give your partner a big hug at the end of the day, and you want to hear about their day. Sometimes though, we just want quiet. We just need some decompress time. We need to come down from a day of not really being ourselves, and hopefully with time that gets better and better, but giving us a little space, a little bit of love space, it really goes a long way. Your patience is so incredible, and it is probably one of the greatest ways to love someone with ADHD. It takes a lot of patience to live with us. We love you to pieces, but we know we can drive you nuts. So your patience is incredible. I always tell my husband that he's like my life preserver. If I'm on a couch and my phone is in my hand at the end of the day, I am probably going to doom scroll until my phone runs out of battery. And so sending us gentle nudges is such an important thing to us, and we so appreciate it. It's not criticizing what we're doing, but it's those gentle reminders of, remember, this was a goal of yours to not do that. I'm going upstairs and I think you should come to bed too. And so those types of things really go a long way. The last thing I'll say too is, if there is any way you can stop our negative talk in its tracks and challenge it, it is absolutely the soundtrack that we need to be hearing over and over again. So anytime that I'm saying, gosh, I felt so stupid today, I lost my wallet, or I left my keys at so-and-so's place, like I felt so stupid, I can't believe I did that, and just saying, whoa, babe, you had a busy day, like these things can be replaced, like let's figure it out. And saying, no, you're not stupid, or do you really believe that? Like, challenge it in a playful way. I have really tried to stop saying I'm sorry for things that weren't my fault. So that's a big one. So trying to catch those negative talks. All right, people, that's all the time that I have for tonight. I have to get this golden retriever to sleepies, but I'm here to say that masking does not mean that you're broken. It just means that you are doing something to survive in a really big, scary pool of people that you're trying to keep up with. But here's the thing, is that you deserve support without hiding who you really are. So I hope that you do get the support you need. I do hope that you have someone at home that loves you, or a friend or family that you can call and lean on, because we all deserve those bright lights in our world and to truly belong and be ourselves without trying to keep up a facade that is completely unsustainable. So you're awesome. And if you liked this video and you want to check out some of my other stuff, check out these other videos that YouTube thinks that you would really enjoy. I will see you in the next video, and have a fantastic evening.